The Sportsocracy.
It fires me up, man.
I love it. Say it one more time.
The Sportsocracy.
Shake it back!
Beer City's best sports talk.
It is gross.
Just earlier.
They are mature, actually. You just have to get to know them better.
Your lunchtime dose of dumbassery. Live from the Ingalls studio.
It is ESPN Asheville, 92.9 FM, 880 AM, 1400. And the Sportsocracy heard everywhere you go on the iHeart Radio app. You can see us everywhere on YouTube. Go to thesportsocracy.com, click the live video link. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That way you can join us in the chat, get your thoughts in on everything that we talk about here. You can vote in our polls when we put those up. You can super chat things into us throughout the program. It's just a great little tool to have. And we love having a counter of just how many people put up with our dumbassery day after day here on ESPN Asheville. It is an Overreaction Monday, and we'll get more in depth into what we saw yesterday in the NFL. But college football over the weekend was pretty entertaining.
Were you entertained?
I mean, I was thoroughly entertained.
You were not allowed in your own living room.
I was not.
It's
one of those things where your team's struggling, and then you walk out of the room, and then they score a touchdown, and now you're no longer allowed to come back in. How many of you live with people like that?
Jeremy, I am people like that.
Really?
No doubt.
Have to stand in the same spot?
Oh, yeah.
Just to keep the mojo going?
I have to drink the same beer.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
If you change beers in the middle of the game, what does that do?
Well, if I finish one, I had the same domestic light last night from the time really things started to go the jet way until I finally accidentally finished it with about 4 minutes to go, and that's when that god-awful holding call happened, and I went, oh, no. I did it. I'm the one. Jet fans be mad at me.
Yeah.
I did it.
It was all on you. I'm not a superstitious person like that.
I have 13s tattooed all over my body. So, I am that guy.
But, yeah, it was not a great day for Georgia. Struggled mightily with Auburn. Was able to come back and win the game, though, so at least there's that. Still don't know how you're still the number one team in the country, but
I told you they would be.
Oh, of course.
As soon as you said that.
Of course
now,
they were.
Here's what I've been revved up to say since Saturday.
Okay.
They shouldn't be.
No.
And I'm going to say something that's going to sound absolutely insane, and I completely mean it. I'm not sure that you're not going to need some help to make the playoff. Even going 13-0. Let me tell you why.
Okay.
Fact or fiction, the winner of the Pac-12 is going to get a spot in the CFP.
Fact.
You have to.
Yes.
It's the best conference in college football, and it's not close.
Yes.
The winner of the Big Ten is going to get a spot in the CFP.
Yes.
The winner of the ACC, if it's undefeated Florida State, is going to get a spot in the CFP.
Yes.
If Texas is undefeated, they get a spot in the CFP. You're all four conference champions.
Yeah.
All of you undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
I'd take every one of you over Georgia, and I'm not sure it's even close. You don't play anybody. You keep playing down to these mediocre SEC teams. The SEC's not good. Just point blank. Let me be as all you SEC people, I don't know what you need to see to understand that the second best team in your conference is that Alabama team that can't score on anybody that's any good.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have any good wins. So you look at Texas that has a handful. You've already got one over Alabama, second best team in your conference, would be the best win you have easily if you play them in the SEC championship game.
Yep.
They'll have a win over Oklahoma and a little smattering of teams that they have beaten outside of that.
Yep.
That's better than anything you have.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot leave Texas out for Georgia if they go undefeated. I agree. Florida State have a win over LSU. That's probably the third or fourth best team in your conference.
Mm-hmm.
It's not gone as well as you would want it to. It's not Jaden Daniels' fault. He tried. Your defense is real bad.
Right.
You have a win over Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
You have a win over Duke.
Mm-hmm.
You have a win over Florida. You have a win over Miami.
Mm-hmm.
That's 5 wins better than anything Georgia will have. Can't leave them out. Michigan would have wins over Ohio State, Penn State, and then one of them a second time. Can't leave them out.
Agreed.
And the Pac-12 has to beat each other, which if in football madness bingo, Pac-12 is easily the best conference in college football. Yeah, I didn't have that one. That's one that I didn't expect in any way.
Mm-hmm.
Ole Miss is a good. Brian Buchanan on our YouTube chat said Ole Miss is a good team. They are. They just can't stop anybody. They can score. They hotty-totty really well. If that game was 18 seconds longer, you'd be hanging a loss because whoever got the ball last was probably going to win.
Yep. I mean, you have the opportunity, if you're Georgia, to put some top 25 wins on the record books here, but you need a lot of help to get there because all your top 25 opponents, at least that are on the schedule right now, they could fall out of the top 25 by the time you get there. Because you got a lot of you got, 4 or 5 games there, or I guess 4 games against teams that are ranked 17 and below.
Well, you got one this week, which is Kentucky, and they're luckily for you coming to Georgia. You would not want to go into that stadium. After what I saw them do against Florida, one of your top 20 wins would be against Florida. Let me tell you a dirty little secret. They're awful. Just genuinely horror awful. Mark Stoops pulled out an offense that Lou Holtz would have been proud of. It didn't matter. I think Devin Leary had 6 more completions than I did. Didn't matter.
Yep.
Missouri. Okay. You're Tennessee. I don't know what you are.
Give me Ole Miss.
I mean, they're fine.
I mean, they're a top 16 team in the country.
They're a top 16 team. Will they be when you play them?
That's the point. I see
go
what
to
you're
Auburn.
saying.
They have to play Texas A&M.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it.
I would love to see what the committee does with it.
That's what I'm locked into.
Because if you end up with 5,
because you may very well end up with 5. All 5 Power 5 conference champions
could be
undefeated.
Yeah.
And Georgia will have the weakest resume of the bunch, and it won't even be kind of close.
Agreed.
But they're not going to do it.
No, they're not going to leave them out.
Now here's the question: who you leave out?
If I had to put my house on it, it's Florida State.
I think you're drunk. That's the strongest resume of all of them. That's the one you can't leave out.
Really?
I think it ends up being the Pac-12. I swear to you, I do. They don't get the respect. None of them really play all that great a defense. Washington struggled with Arizona this week, which didn't see that coming. That's another one of my misses this week. But I'm just looking at this going.
So the ACC champion, would it be Florida State, would have a better record or better strength of schedule over the Pac-12?
Okay, tell me who that Pac-12 champion is going to be. Because it's shocking how few of those teams that they actually play. Because USC is the one I'm looking at going, I mean, you can't stop a nosebleed, but I'm not sure who's going to stop Caleb Williams.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to be a back-to-back Heisman Trophy winner. Statistically, he's 30% better this year than he was last year.
Nice. Oregon's
going to get just boat raced by USC.
Are they? Okay.
I think Oregon will get boat raced this week by Washington. Or it might be next week.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the two. For me, you're going to get Washington USC in that championship game. And if you're telling me that that CFP committee sits down and they've got national power Georgia, national power Michigan, national power Texas, national power Florida State, and Washington, yep, I can tell you which one's going to get left out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that's the way it should be.
No.
I'm saying that's the way it's going to be.
Yes.
Facts don't care about your feelings. These are still people.
You're not leaving out an undefeated back-to-back national champion because their schedule wasn't that great. It's just not going to happen. I mean, should it? Sure. I'm the one that has always been beaten down the door for I don't care if you're undefeated. If you're undefeated from a crappy conference, then you don't deserve the shot.
And that's where I'm at with Georgia.
You're
going to be
I'm right
that
there
team.
with you.
There's nothing that's going to stop that.
And I'm right there with you. If we end up in a scenario, then I'll own it and say we shouldn't be there. But I don't think the committee's going to agree with me.
And that's where I'm at, which is why I am adamantly rooting for you to lose one of these games to take that away.
Mm-hmm.
Because what my fear is, I've told you, I feel like Washington and Michigan are the 1-2 in the country right now, and I don't really think any of these other teams are close.
Yeah.
Texas is good defensively. They're really good offensively. They hit a lot of big plays, but there's a lot of boo.
Mm-hmm. Can I share something with you?
Absolutely.
We're not going to.
To lose?
We're not going to win them all. We're not going undefeated. That team that I saw this past weekend, you're going to get got.
Oh, no doubt.
You will get got by Ole Miss. You will get got by whoever in the SEC
Tennessee
championship game. You
Tennessee
very
on
well,
Rocky
yeah,
Top.
yeah. You could get smacked in the mouth by Tennessee and that offense. You cannot continue to not show up for the first halves of games and just expect like everything's going to be hunky-dunky. And I swear to God, I tried to be positive, right? I tried to be the guy in the corner of new quarterback. No. New number, who dis? I don't care who you got to turn it over to, Gunner, Stockton, or who's the other guy that's waiting in the wings there to play quarterback. I keep for Brock. It's not. What's his name? Vandergriff.
Brock
Vandergriff. I don't care if you got to turn it over to him. You don't have the guy.
Well, I mean, and that's
Carson Beck's not the dude.
Oh, that's where I'm at. Is that you said, oh, they didn't show up in the first half. They didn't show up in the second half. Brock Bowers showed up in the second half. Went,
he's good.
I'm a dude.
And he is.
You struggled mightily with a team that threw for less than 100 yards, and their leading rusher was a quarterback that I'm not sure could outrun me. I watched that entire game going, this is not a national title contender.
No.
I never saw anything that suggested to me that in a 1v1, you're beating Washington, you're beating Michigan, kill you. J.J. McCarthy would pick you apart. And this is, to me, this is where, and we have this argument every year about the polls and how stupid the polls are and why we shouldn't have a preseason poll. Because be honest with yourself right now. October the 2nd, this is when I have always claimed the first poll should come out is the first week of October. Who's your one?
Michigan.
They're also my one. Who's your two?
Probably Texas.
Mine's Washington. Texas would be my 3.
Okay.
Florida State's my 4.
Okay.
Georgia's not my 5.
Really?
No. I've seen special from every team up there. I have not seen special from Georgia. And if one of your little UFO alien people landed on this planet and knew absolutely nothing of anything that happened in college football before August the 27th of this year, do you realize how hard you would have to convince them that, no, this is the 2-time national champion? Because they don't look that way.
No, you're right.
If you just go the 5 games on the field, I'd argue they don't belong in the top 10. Ohio State has a better win than them, and I don't believe in Ohio State in the least. Notre Dame has a better win than them. Yeah, they have a loss, but it's also a team that I think is better than they are.
It's a problem.
This is also why I'm looking at this. You told the story last week of the 6 and 6. Oh, we're going to do the 5 power conferences and then the group of 5. That's why the Big Ten and the ACC and none of those guys are going to agree to this. Because you lose the Pac-12 and you look down how that would go. Yeah, sorry, we ain't letting Tulane in.
No.
Sorry, we ain't letting Fresno State in.
No, well, I mean, we'll let one of them in.
Because we have legit 12 contenders.
Yeah.
I don't know if you feel that way, but I do. You have legit 12 teams that I'm not sure that on any given day they couldn't beat anybody. And now, once you get into the 12s, you start getting into Alabama. Okay, I'm not so sure that you could score with these other teams. Washington State, to me, criminally underrated. Criminally underrated, as is Oregon State, as is Miami. Duke. I think Duke's really good. You got caught at home.
Yep.
You had one broken coverage late, but you had every opportunity to win that game.
But you're not in the discussion.
No.
Okay.
What I'm saying is when we get to 12, which the teams I just said, all right, they line up and play Fresno State. Who you taking?
Oh, no doubt.
Every team I just said,
absolutely,
minus 21.5, and I do it standing on my head.
That's why it's cute, and you get one. We'll give you one. We're not.
I don't even want to give you one, if I'm being really honest.
Wait a minute. Wasn't it you that was clamoring for the one?
Well, new information. Sometimes things change.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't crazy.
Sometimes things change. One other question before we move off college football, because we have a lot of pro things to talk about, and we have some what's that word you use all the time? Dumbassery.
Yes.
To attend to in the next segment.
Yes, we do.
You and I think universally agree Pac-12 is the best conference in college football.
Yeah.
Who's two?
Big 12?
Big 10.
Big 10.
Okay. Big 12's debatable, but you've really only got
close.
You've got two, and then 8 miles of crap underneath it that I don't really think we need to talk about BYU. You're fine,
okay,
but you're not really in the discussion here.
Right.
I would say the Big 10's 2, the Big 12's 3. I could make the argument the SEC is the weakest of the Power 5 conferences.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure right now that, let's say, Carolina, Ole Miss. Good Lord, do I want to see that in the Holiday Bowl really, really badly. or then not the Holiday. That's a Pac-12 thing. What's the one that the ACC and the SEC play in?
The
Gator Bowl?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's right.
Whatever bowl it is, I want that one so I can bet my entire net worth on the over because you cannot set that number high enough. If you told me the over-under on Ole Miss, North Carolina was 102, take it. Take my monies. There you go. All of it. Slide it across the table.
Be a lot of fun.
But, I mean, I'm looking at the ACC now going, Miami's pretty good. Nobody wants to talk about that, but they're pretty good.
Yeah.
Clemson, yeah, you got by Duke. You had 3 turnovers in the red zone, and you spanked Syracuse pretty well. You showed really well against Florida State. I'm not sure Clemson would be the second best team in the SEC.
Really?
That's how bad. I mean, look, I watch a ton of SEC football because you're in those windows. You're not competing with much.
Mm-hmm.
And every one of them I watch, I'm just not impressed by in the least.
Is it because they're not flashy, or is it
No,
just
it's because they're not good.
Okay.
It's because they're not good. Ole Miss, okay, yeah, you score a lot of points. Defensively, you are a joke.
Mm-hmm.
Any good team is going to score 50 points on Ole Miss. Now, they might score 55 on you. But that's what you're trying to sell me is the second best team in your conference?
Right.
And that's what you're trying to sell me on to get you to the CFP? There's new sheriffs in town now.
There's only one hope. There's only one hope for the SEC, and that's that Georgia goes undefeated, and because nobody else is getting in.
All right. Now, one more thing. I know we got to take a break, but I have to ask this question too because you're probably the most realistic Georgia fan I've ever met, and it pains me to give you your flowers on that because you do irritate me. I swear. Amy was like, "Why do you hate Georgia so much?" And I went, T-A-N-K, Spencer. Let's say they all lose a game.
Yes.
Then what happens?
Everybody loses?
They all lose a game. Because I think that's where you get left out. Washington loses a game too.
You cannot look at a defending champion who's undefeated and say no. You can, however, do that when you have one loss.
And even if they've all got one loss. Because let's say Washington, the team that I thought would be held out, let's say their loss is to USC. You lose to USC, then you play in the Pac-12 title game. You avenge the loss, and Georgia loses to Kentucky this week.
But I also feel like this is where the rankings will kick in, right? All the analytics and all the rankings will kick in once that loss does happen. Should it come this week against Kentucky? Should it happen later in the season against Ole Miss or Tennessee? Once you pick up that loss, then it allows everybody to be more honest about who you are.
Yes.
Because if they were being honest about who this Georgia team is now, they wouldn't be number one. They would be 3 at best. And still,
you believe that high, taking only this year?
No.
There you go.
No, I do not. But what I'm saying is, if people were honest, if the voters were honest, they probably would still be in the top 3.
The way I vote is if you played on a neutral field, who am I taking right now?
And
they'd
be way down that list.
And I'm not taking Georgia against any of the teams really that I've already said.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you can score with the Pac-12 teams. Michael Penix. What Michael Penix in that offense would do to that defense that I am told is so good. Oof. Now, you might be able to score on them. Can't tell you wouldn't.
Thankfully, there's more season left to go. And hopefully these guys will turn it around. Who knows? Maybe you'll find a quarterback somewhere. Of course, 2 years ago, I was saying the same stuff about Stetson Bennett before he became, Mr. Walk-on-Water, can do no wrong transfer guy.
Yeah, Stetson Bennett and Carson Beck. you are not the same.
No, you're in the Sportsocracy, and this is ESPN Asheville.